Welcome to Aquatec. This commissioning video is for the Aquatec range of pressure sewer systems. If no rectification works are required, a typical pressure sewer commissioning should be a swift process. Page 1. Verify the pre-commissioning checklist has been completed by the client or installation contractor. This checklist needs to be signed and provided to the commissioning agent prior to booking in the job date for the commissioning. The purpose of the pre-commissioning checklist is to confirm that all electrical and plumbing connections are complete, test water is available, and the site has safe access, allowing the commissioning to proceed. It's important the commissioning documents are completed accurately, as it may be referred to in cases of equipment damage, system upgrade, or component replacement in the years ahead. Ensure site-related information is completed accurately, as there may be multiple stations on the one site, which will need clear differentiation to identify each particular station for future reference. Once confirmed that all pre-commissioning requirements have been met, we can begin with the project-specific commissioning report. After completing some basic information, you can move on to the pump station detail section to capture the dimensions of the chamber. This is critical information if pumps are changed and replaced in the future. Working through the form, we nominate what the system is, which is mostly just a tick box exercise with determining whether the system is a simplex, duplex, triplex, freestanding, or guide channel mounting type, pump and controller serial numbers, and all the unique details that this specific installation comprises of. Specify what level control is installed. This would typically comprise of level control type and range. In the case of a level transducer, you also need to capture the signal type in terms of level control range. It could be a 0 to 3 meter range or a 0 to 10 meter range as an example. Ensure all of this is recorded on the final report. A lot of the points listed on this page are simply good practice. Others come straight from building codes. One of the most important things to check is the minimum clearance of 50 millimeters above the finished surface level on a self-venting lid. There's not really a maximum to this dimension, just what's practical. Alternatively, if you've got a sealed lid, it can be flush with the finished surface level. What we're trying to eliminate here is stormwater ingress from a deluge of rain. The control panel itself needs to be fixed properly to either a wall or a post. Electrical conduits need to finish approximately 100 millimeters below the control panel base. Then, to enter the control panel with cables, you must use cable glands and only enter via the base of the control panel. Each cable will require a separate cable gland. No other entry point into the control panel for cables is acceptable, and failing to follow this step will void warranty. Avoidance of ingress into the control panel is not only referring to moisture, but also insects. If the above steps are not followed correctly, insects can also penetrate the control panel seal and affect the electronics inside the unit. A dedicated circuit breaker needs to be installed in the distribution panel of the building to safely supply power to any Aquatec pressure sewer system. There should be a maximum of 2 meters of excess cable inside the well. Excessive amounts of cable left inside the well can be difficult to tether and ultimately ends up being held by cable ties. Before moving on to the final testing cycle, specifically if you have a 3-phase pump, is to lift the pump out of the well and check your pump has the correct rotation upon powering up. This check is a visual check that should be validated against the markings on the pump. This check is not necessary for single-phase pumps. The last check prior to a first powered test phase of the commissioning is to make sure the well is completely clean. Ensure there are no building materials such as sand, tiles, mortar, slurry, etc. You also need to be mindful of solvents and cleaners that can contaminate the water in the well. At this point, we have verified that the installation, electrical connections, and the plumbing connections are all ready to proceed to the next stage, which is physically powering up and testing the system. Lower the pump back into the well and connect the outlet via the cam lock. For a pump using the guide rail system, ensure the pump seats correctly. Let's begin the testing phase, turn the control panel on and put everything into auto. Ensure that all the startup delays are complete or bypassed for the purpose of commissioning. Proceed with introducing the water to complete the test. It's good practice to test the system using water. Then you can verify the pump starts at the correct level on the tank, which is just below the inlet. In the case of a dual pump system, we like to do this multiple times so that we can verify the control panel is actually alternating the duty on the pumps. Each start cycle will switch to the other pump in any multi-pump system. You want to check that the cycle has rotated through each one of the pumps. There's a test procedure written in the commissioning document which states as follows: introduce test water to the chamber until the pump activates. Now confirm that the pump start level is below the inlet to avoid any surcharge of your gravity incoming, which can ultimately cause blockages. Once that's been verified, turn the pump off via the selector switch whilst the test water is still running. And now with the pump off, the well continues to fill until we get to the alarm level point. Now we can verify that the visual alarm is working and the light is flashing. Now press the mute button to verify it actually mutes the alarm. This will mute the audible alarm, while the visual alarm will continue to flash until resolved. Now we can turn the test water off once we have it up to the desired level, and we've also confirmed the alarm's activated and in the right spot. Turn the test water off. Turn the pump back on and watch the water pump out of the well. The pump should then continue pumping, depending on your control panel type. You can monitor and record the running amps at this point in time. Document this information in your commissioning report. There is provision for it in 3-phase and in single phase. In the case of 3-phase, it's important to check the amps for each individual phase of each pump. If there's a discrepancy of between 15 to 20%, that pump should be tagged as requiring further inspection, as it may be malfunctioning. In the case of a single-phase pump, it's just a matter of recording the amps and verifying that they're within spec of the manufacturer's published full load current. It's also important at this point to document the voltage. The voltage affects the amps. So if anyone's looking back at this document and looking at the amps, the very next question is what was the voltage at that point in time? So that's what we would expect to see. Continue to pump the system out until it gets to its off level. The off level should be verified back to the system drawings showing the operational levels. Typically, this is between 200 and 250 millimeters of liquid left in the bottom of the well. In any case, it should always cover the wet end of the pump. It doesn't necessarily matter about the motor being exposed. These are oil-cooled pumps and designed to operate this way. Nearing the end of the pump cycle procedure, we're ultimately looking for the pump to turn off by itself. If your pump does not turn off and then you hear it drawing in air, something is not right. In any dual or multi-pump system, you should do this test at least twice to verify the pumps are alternating via the control panel. If the system is depowered for whatever reason because power is off in the street, water still runs. Your tank might get to a high level point. Power is then restored. There may be a slight delay between the pumps starting, but they will both run in the case of a dual pump system. Final step, add any additional notes to your report. These can be simple notes like lid bolts missing or mechanical protection yet to be fitted on above ground conduit. Most of the service related calls that we get are from brand new installations that have not been through the complete commissioning process. This completes the pressure sewer commissioning process. Thanks for watching.